السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدي هدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. All praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is exactly what we do. We declare and we acknowledge it, and we also physically perform it. We say Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah. Nahmaduhu, inna alhamdulillah, all praises for Allah. Point one. Point two, Nahmaduhu, and we praise Him, because knowing isn't just enough. Knowing is only half of the battle. You have to know, and then you have to do. Knowing is not good enough, that Allah deserves to be praised, but the tongue must be put to work. The heart must be put to work. The mind must be put to work. In a constant state, all praises for Allah. Alhamdulillah. Period. Khalas. Now I'm going to act based upon that. And also, from the things that we do as Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ would tell his companions and teach his companions, and as it's mentioned in the narration of Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ would teach us, he would teach us khutbah al-hajjah, as he would teach us a surah from the Quran or tashahhud, as it's mentioned in the narration. He would mention this sermon. نَحْمَدُهُ وَنَسْتَعِينُهُ, and we seek his help. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for his help. And that's much more than just the tongue, but it's actually with the limbs. If you ask for Allah's help, then do it in a permissible way. If you ask for Allah to support you, then do it how Allah told you to do it. You can't seek Allah's help, seek Allah's assistance by disobeying Allah and by doing things backwards in an incorrect way against the Sunnah. And then you say, may Allah help us. As the non-Muslims frequently say, from among the best of them, may God help us. God help us all. But God's rules, God's laws, God's legislation are not mentioned whatsoever, yet still they ask for the help of God. That's not the Muslim. When we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, we ask your help, O Allah, then we physically attempt to get Allah's help. The Prophet ﷺ, he put his trust in Allah when it was time to fight, and he made preparations. He planned. If there was an amulet, something around a camel's neck, he would break it and snatch it off and says, this camel can't go into battle with us because this displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can we get his help? How can we get his support when we meet and clash swords with the enemy and we're disobeying him? It's a very important concept. نَحْمَدُهُ وَنَسْتَعِينُهُ. We seek his help through the permissible ways, the permissible means, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to keep us safe from the evils of our souls and from the consequences of our bad deeds. Those who are guided, who have received the true righteous guidance is because Allah wanted it to be that way. And those who are misled, misguided, who have no guidance, no proper training, it's because Allah Azza wa Jalla wanted it to be that way. So know that. It's how Allah wanted it to be. It's what Allah intended it to be. And if Allah had willed, He would have guided that individual, but that's not what Allah willed. And be happy that Allah has guided you. Be happy that you are a Muslim, that you are a mu'min, inshaAllah. The time, the energy, and the efforts that you spend asking, how are so many people misguided in the world today? All of these people are going to the fire now? All of them are kuffar? The Muslims are a small minority? How can this be? The time that it takes you, the energy that it takes you to ask this question and pose this question, it should be used for saying, Alhamdulillah, I'm happy for myself. I'm lucky, Alhamdulillah. I was blessed to be a Muslim. The rest of the people, that's not my affair. Allah is their Lord and their Creator. He made them, He decreed that for them. Alhamdulillah for Islam. Those who are guided is because Allah chose to make them that way. And those who are misguided is because Allah chose to make them that way. And no matter what you say or do, it can never ever change what Allah Azza wa Jalla has made. No matter how hard you try, even if it hurts your heart, even if it bothers you, your son or your wife or your husband or your brother or your friend or your close companion from Jahiliyyah, the one that was there with you through thick and thin, who had a very smart mind, very thorough person, why can't you just accept Islam? It's so simple and so basic. It's because Allah Azza wa Jalla didn't want it to be that way. So know that. I bear witness and I testify that Allah Azza wa Jalla deserves to be worshipped without any partner. And I bear witness and I testify that Muhammad ﷺ deserves to be followed and obeyed without any partner. The two types of Tawheed. Tawheed of Allah and Tawheed of the Messenger of Allah. Muhammad is the only example. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is the only one who we should worship, alone without any rival, any second, and any third. May Allah Azza wa Jalla mention His name in the company of the greatest and the most grand of the angels, Al-Malal A'la, the highest company of angels. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla be pleased with His companions, His followers. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla be pleased with His wives, His children, and His relatives, and all of the believers from His blessed progeny. Indeed, the best speech is the speech of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. And the worst of all affairs are those which have been innovated, for every innovation is misguidance. All misguidance is in the fire of hell. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I don't think I need to tell you to fear Allah. I don't think I need to remind you of something that you already know. And it is my duty to remind myself and tell myself to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, what I want to mention to you and what I want to tell you right now is that taqwa is much more than just a concept. At-taqwa is much more than just a statement. It's much more than just a word in which you say to someone laughing and joking. It says, fear Allah, ittaqillah. But there are actions that mandate taqwa. And the concept of taqwa mandates actions. There are actions which mandate taqwa, and there is the concept of taqwa which mandates and demands actions. And from this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us. Not speaking about prayer at night, or charity and fasting in the daytime, reading the Quran and worshiping Him and making Hajj and Umrah. But Allah talks about a sad situation, a grief-stricken situation, a stressful situation, an emotionally challenging situation, and that is the situation of divorce. When a husband and wife can't agree, and they can't live with each other, and they can't get along, and there is no harmony, and they separate ways. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He tells us something about taqwa, about fearing Him, and not in Surah Al-Talaq, as we've mentioned in khutbahs before, but in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah, He tells us with regards to the contracts, and the agreement, and the disagreement, and when if there's a separation before they actually consummate the marriage, Allah tells the man and the men what to do with the money, what to do with the dawah, the mahar. Allah says, وَأَن تَعْفُوا أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. And if you forgive and give her all of the money and let her keep it, even though we're separated and we didn't consummate the marriage, Allah says, أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. That's closer to taqwa. Meaning, it's permissible to take half. It's okay. But if you give all of it and you alleviate her from the burden, take it, bismillah, it didn't work out. That is closer to taqwa. Proving that there are actions, statements, and conditions which are close to taqwa, and there are actions, statements, and conditions which are closer to taqwa. And that taqwa is not one level. Even though we all have hearts, and we all believe, inshallah ta'ala, but there are different levels of taqwa. And the level of taqwa and the closeness or the remoteness from taqwa is only based off of one thing and one thing only. And that is action. And that's what Allah says, وَأَن تَعْفُوا. And for you to forgive. And forgiveness is a what? It's an action. It's an action. It's something that you do. You let go. It's alright. Khalas. Allah tells us that is closer to a taqwa. So taqwa is much more than a statement that is said. Taqwa is much more than a sermon. Taqwa is much more than a joke that you say to your brother. Taqillah, taqillah. You say to each other. It's deeper than that. Fearing Allah is serious. And the only way we can prove that we fear Allah Azza wa Jalla is through, with, and by our actions. أما بعد. قال الإمام مسلم رحمه الله تعالى في مسنده الصحيح حدثنا أبو بكر بن أبي شيبة وابن نمير قال حدثنا عبد الله بن إدريس عن ربيعة بن عثمان عن محمد بن يحيى بن حبان عن الأعرج عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف في كل خير احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز وإن أصابك شيء فلا تقل لو فعلت كان كذا وكذا ولكن قل قدر الله وما شاء فعل أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام فإن له تفتح عمل الشيطان. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول ما سمعتم أستغفر الله تعالى لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه كان غفارا. الحمد لله وكفى وصلاة الله وسلامه على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala, in one of the most authentic books after the Quran and Kareem, Sahih Muslim, he reports and he brings us the narration of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who said that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam said the following words: Al-mu'minu al-qawi khayrun wa ahabbu ila Allah min al-mu'min al-dhaif. The strong believer, the powerful believer, the formidable believer, the solid believer, the brolic believer, khayrun is better, wa ahabbu, and he's more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, min al-mu'min al-dhaif, from the weak believer, the feeble believer, the shaky believer, the fragile believer, the frail believer, the believer that isn't solid and isn't strong. Wa fi kullin khayr, but in both of them there is good. There is good in both types of believers, the strong and the weak. Abu Hurairah tells us that the Prophet ﷺ then says, Ista'in ihris ala ma yanfa'ak, wasta'in billah wa la ta'jiz. Work hard, be diligent, have a strong work ethic. upon that which is good for you, benefits you, and suits your worldly and religious affairs. Seek Allah's help. وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. And do not deem yourself to be weak. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't be a defeatist. Don't be someone who's pessimistic and overly anxious. La ta'jaz. Don't make yourself weak. But what happens if I work hard? If I seek Allah's help? If I am concentrating and it doesn't go right? Something goes wrong. A catastrophe, a disaster. Something really bad happens. When asabaka shay'un. And if something happens to you, if something befalls you, if it doesn't go right, then what should you do? Then do not say, lo fa'alt, if I did. Man, I should have did it like this. SubhanAllah, what was I thinking? You know what? I should have went this way. Why did I go this way? Why did I turn this way? Why did I deal with this person? Why did I move here? Don't say that. However, you should say, Qadrullahi. It was the decree of Allah. وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. And Allah did what He wanted to do. Allah did what He wanted to do, even though I wanted to do something, but Allah wanted something. And who's going to win in that battle of wills? Who's going to win? Allah Rabbul Alameen or the servant from base fluid? Who's going to win in that battle, that struggle? A struggle of wills. What Allah wants and what you want or I want. Who's going to win? The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, however, you should say, Qadrullahi wa ma sha'a fa'ala. It is the decree, the preordainment. It is destiny of Allah. And He did what He wanted to do. Why shouldn't we say this? Oh, Messenger of Allah, why can't we say this? Why is this a bad thing to do? فَإِنَّ لَوْ تَفْتَحُ عَمْلَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Because when you say if, it opens up the doors, it opens up the handiwork of the devil. If you say if. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala says about this tremendous hadith, تضمن هذا الحديث أو تضمن هذا الحديث الشريف أصولا من أصول أهل السنة والجماعة. He says this great hadith, this honorable hadith, this impactful narration, it has included several principles of Orthodox Islam, the true Islam, the real Islam. And the first principle is al-mu'min al-qawi, is that Iman fluctuates. Every believer isn't the same, because every believer isn't necessarily strong. How do I know that every believer isn't strong? Because what I see, this one drinks, this one smokes, this one doesn't wear hijab, this one doesn't do this one does that. No, because the Prophet himself said two types of believers, weak and strong. So there's someone or something which is strong, and there's someone or something which is weak, then obviously between the two there has to be a what? A love. Is this not the case? This is a weight class, and that's a weight class. Between the two weight classes is 50 pounds or 50 kilos. There has to be a difference between the two. So the Prophet ﷺ says, Al-Mu'min al-Qawi, the strong believer, and not necessarily the believer that has muscles, or not necessarily the believer who's fast and agile, or not necessarily the believer who's quick and fast with his hands or his feet, but it's the believer who has the spiritual strength. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu was very skinny. He was very frail. So much so that when you put on his izar, his waist sheet, it would fall down and drag on the ground. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he was afraid. He was terrified. Oh, Messenger of Allah, my izar falls down. Because he had a thin waist and a big izar. Am I from those people who drag their garments out of pride and conceit? The Prophet ﷺ, he gave him the tazkiyah. He says, no, you're not from them. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala, from the greatest of the companions. He was a thin man. He was a frail man. And some of the companions, they laughed at his legs when they saw him climb a tree. And they said, look how skinny he is. And the Prophet ﷺ says that his legs are heavier in the scales of good deeds than ma'ud. And narration after narration after narration. And there were other companions who were physically strong, like Umar ibn Khattab and Khalid ibn al-Walid and other great warriors from the Sahaba. But the point is that strength in this hadith does not mean physical strength, but it means spiritual strength. The strength of the heart, the strength of the soul, the strength to fight, and most importantly, the strength not to fight. The strength to have control, as the Prophet ﷺ said, when he saw the Sahaba wrestling and grappling, and it was one man that was very powerful and very skilled, and no one could beat him. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says, that's nice, that's fine. However, لَيْسَ الشَّدِيدُ بِسُرْعَةٍ. He says the strong man, the warrior, the champion is not the one who can overpower other men. وَلَكِنَّ الشَّدِيدَ مَنْ يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ إِلَّا الْغَضَبِ. But it is he who controls himself at the time of anger. Who can do this? Can I raise my hand? Can you raise your hands when someone gets on your nerves, aggravates you, agitates you, curses at you, cuts you off in traffic? Can you raise your hand right now and say that you can control your anger? From among the men who are strong and powerful, do you control yourself? Do you curse? Do you become angry? What do you do when you become angry? How many of us have that strength? So that's the true strength. And that is the strength meant by this hadith. So this type of believer is strong, he's powerful, and he's beloved to Allah. And he's better than the weaker believer who doesn't control him or herself. Or the weaker believer who practices Islam one day and another day, I'm off my deen. Or I'm going through something. Or I'm stressed out. Or it's not Ramadan. I'll be in the masjid on Friday, inshallah. The believer who's weak, who's feeble, who's unstable. However, Allah still loves that believer. Don't lose hope. Do not despair and never give up. Because Allah He loves all of His servants. He loves all of the Muslims. Even though the love of Allah is upon different levels. And there are those who are close to Allah. And there are those who are barely getting by. And we ask Allah not to make us of those who are just barely getting by. The Prophet ﷺ, he then gives us instruction on life. How to live as a Muslim and as a human being. Ihris ala ma yanfa'uka. Seek, or before that, Ibn Qayyim says this hadith proves that Allah loves. And that Allah is loved, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the rest of His names and attributes. They're real and they aren't figurative. The Prophet then says, Ihris ala ma yanfa'uka. Work hard and be diligent upon that which is good for you. I.e., mind your business. I.e., don't get caught up in politics and news and sports and media, things that don't pertain to your benefit. If you go to sleep at night, if you wake up in the morning, what do you need to do? What do you have to do? Imam Malik rahimahullah was asked about knowledge and how beautiful knowledge is and how virtuous knowledge is. He says, "Oh Abu Abdullah, what should we do? How do we seek knowledge?" He says, knowledge is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a fantastic thing. However, look at when you wake up and look at when you go to sleep. See what you're required to do between those two times and seek that knowledge. I.e., you can become sidetracked and preoccupied. You can lose focus and concentration seeking the ilm of the deen, let alone the ilm of the dunya, let alone this person's business or gossip or this team or this politician or this one or that one or that one. Work hard upon that which is going to benefit you and your life. But it's not about your own strength. It's not about your intelligence. It's not about your money and how wise and how savvy you are. But it's about seeking Allah's help. And when you do your best, you try your best, you give it everything that you have, and it still doesn't work, do not become sad. Do not become upset. Do not become depressed. Do not be grief-stricken, because why? It is what Allah Azza wa Jalla intended. It is what Allah wanted to do, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, if something happens to you, don't go to the past. Oh man, I should have did it another way. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I knew that was a mistake. Don't say that. Because it was decreed and it was meant to happen. There was no way around it. So we have three levels here. We have before the act, we have during the act, and then we have after the act. 1, 2, and 3. Before you do something, while you're doing something, and after that thing is done. What is the duty and the responsibility of the believer before he wishes to do something? What is the duty and the responsibility of the believer while he's doing that act? And what is the duty and the responsibility of the believer after the act is done? So how many of us are depressed? We take pills, we drink things, we go to the doctors, we watch things, we listen to things because we're depressed. How many women, how many brothers are overtaken by anxiety? What about this, and what about that, and what about, and what about, and what about, and what about? How many of us have waswasa? Waliyadu billah. Did I make wudu? Did I pray? Did I divorce my wife? Is this clean? Is this impure? Is this halal? Is this haram? So we have waswasa. And all of these different mental and spiritual problems. And oftentimes it's based off of not implementing this hadith. I didn't seek Allah's help, so this happened. I didn't work, I didn't try my hardest, I didn't give it my all, so this happened. Or it was qadr of Allah and I have not yet accepted it. It's over, it's done, it's in the past. There's nothing that you can do to take it back. And the Prophet ﷺ, he never ever told us not to think and not to be humans. Humans are going to be humans. But he instructed us how to behave spiritually. Don't even make the statement, even if you may be feeling it like that way. I could have did it better. That's clear. That was a mistake. It was a blunder. But now it's too late to go back. So it's going to do nothing but cause you sadness and grief. It's going to do nothing but allow shaitan to play with your head and play with your mind, which leads to anxiety, which leads to depression, which leads to waswasa, which leads. So if we implemented this hadith and we've acted upon it, our lives without a doubt would immediately increase in quality. And there are 4 levels of humans with regards to this hadith. 4 levels. Which of the levels are you upon? Number 1, those who work hard and seek Allah's help. Number 2, those who work hard and seek not Allah's help. Number 3, those who do what? Seeking Allah's help and working hard, seeking Allah's help, not working hard, seeking Allah's help or working hard, vice versa. And last but not least, are those who don't seek Allah's help and they don't work hard. So you can't succeed in life if you want to be a doctor or a student of knowledge. You want to be an imam, or you want to be a physician or an engineer, or you want to go to the NBA, whatever you want to do in life. As a Muslim, you can never ever succeed unless you work hard, unless you seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and unless you remain focused upon the present, the near future, and reflect upon the past, but never get stuck in the past. Reflect upon it. Think about it. Overlook it, but never ever get stuck in the past. Stay in the near future. Plan ahead, but do not be taken over by anxiety and fear of what's going to take place. Most of your time, most of your effort, most of your energy must be spent during the present. And that is why they call it the present, because it is a gift. Allah Azza wa Jalla has given it to you. What did the Prophet ﷺ say to the companions about the prayer and shortening it? He said, صَدَقَةٌ تَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ بِهَا عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْبَلُوا صَدَقَتَهُ. Why are we shortening our prayers? We're not afraid. We're not fighting the kuffar. The Prophet ﷺ, he says it is a sadaqah. It's charity that Allah gave you. فَاقْبَلُوا صَدَقَتَهُ. So take His charity. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to allow us to accept the charity of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa akhir salam.